Live from Las Vegas, more or less, with Mark Anthony. I'm Rick Rosen, and this is Good Sports. What's up, buddy? Good afternoon.
It's cold out there.
Oh,
Rick, it's cold out there.
Where are you from? Of the degrees, and we're freezing our asses off. No, we're not. You're from Minnesota. I'm from Colorado. It's not cold. If I are correct, this is akin to a Minnesota summer without the mosquitoes.
Right. Yes.
Do the mosquitoes really get the size of hummingbirds up there in Minnesota?
Oh, I've seen them take out small children.
I've heard the stories. Anyway, Mark, there's not a great deal on the police blotter today, but there are several developments in the world of sports that are touching that we're going to touch on. One of the things I want to start with, Mark, Las Vegas lost a friend that I don't think everybody was aware of. A young man named Paul Leckie was the manager of Walmart. They take us shopping once a week. The city comes by and picks us old farts up, and they take us shopping. We go to a Walmart, which is cool. Walmart accepts the other people's ads, so we get the benefit of that. This young man named Paul Leckie was 45 years old, Mark, and died over the weekend. And we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to his family. But, Walmart always gets the short end of the stick when it comes to, people think it's the NASCAR crowd and all that. And, you're one step down from human if you shop at Walmart and do those things. And I'm almost positive there's a Walmart in heaven. But this young man passed away at 45 years of age. He's the guy and I bring this up because there's a connection to Jerry Jones somewhere in here. This is a guy who one day I walked in, my next door neighbor was about to turn 100 years of age. And I was trying to catch up with her to show her an ad she'd asked about. And I was having a hard time catching her. And her name is Leela McClendon, and laughingly, one of the other managers, assistant managers, saw me, and I said, she's going to be 100 next month, and I can't keep up with her. Is she really? And she went to this young man who managed the Walmart where we go. His name was Paul Leckie, and without any prodding, anything like that, he said, "Oh, we'd love to give her a cake." They knew that we come in once a week, a group of 10 or 12 of us, and they not only gave her a cake, they gave her a party. And the next time we went in shopping, the day before her birthday, I believe it was, we went there, and they had all the employees come over and sing happy birthday. They did a beautiful cake for her. They gave her a gift card and a bouquet of roses, and it couldn't have been nicer, Mark. And you didn't have to ask the guy. The guy did it because it was the right thing to do. It was a cool thing to do. And he very, very unfortunately, for anybody who knew him or had any dealings at that Walmart, his name was Paul Leckie, and he passed away last Saturday, and we want to send our thoughts and prayers. But he was one of those guys who did the right thing, even though he worked for Walmart. I mean, it's not like the guy was an executive at Boeing and making millions and millions of dollars. A very hardworking young man, but right thing, he did the right thing. Jerry Jones, on the other hand, owns the Dallas Cowboys. So bought them for, I believe, $160 million, and now they're the most franchise in sports, more profitable than any of the soccer clubs. Real Madrid, I believe, comes in second. But he took $160 million investment, small loan from his dad of $160 million, and has now the Cowboys are valued well over $2 billion with the B billion dollars, and that's a pretty good return on your money. But Jerry Jones has had the opportunity to do the right thing with Greg Hardy and has stuck his head squarely in his ass and not done it. The only thing that works on his head, obviously, is his mouth, because at this point in time, I don't know how you keep defending Greg Hardy. They signed him from Carolina. And he's going to be a leader, and he's this and he's that. And they have abided this guy, and the photos finally surfaced on Deadspin last week, as we talked about, Mark. And the Cowboys' reaction has been, well, if it wasn't such a serious thing, it would be worth a laugh. But here we live in a place where there's a guy who just hears that somebody's going to be 100 and goes way out of his way and to do the right thing and to make everything better. Unlike Jerry Jones, who, the guy not only beat her up, he beat her up, and they took pictures, and he lied about his deal. Oh, she scratched me, and he had the scratches on his neck that
then he
I've
came
had
back
from tabby cats.
Well, then Hardy came back and tried to go, well, it isn't what it looks like it is. It's like, dude,
That's right.
I'm a Republican. I go by what I see, not by what I'm told, okay? You beat her.
What has that got to do with being a Republican? Yeah, I will say that, Mark. He absolutely, it's indefensible. And he was given a 10-game suspension. And you got to give credit to the NFL Players Association. It's talking about doing the right or wrong thing. Somewhere in that collective bargaining, they said, we need one more chip. We want the ability to appeal and to have an arbitrator listen to these suspensions and everything. And so the NFL finds itself going after Tom Brady still, even though he won his case in court. They're doing all the appeals and everything to try to enforce this 4-game suspension on Tom Brady for Deflategate, which happened game before last year's Super Bowl. And now Greg Hardy got his suspension reduced from 10 games to 4 games, and he served that, and Dallas welcomed him back with open arms. And there's teammates that, that don't like playing next to the guy and don't like showering with the guy and don't like being around the guy because he's a low-life scum bitch. And they're forced to do that because that's where they get their money. That's their business. The Cowboys have certainly dropped the ball as far as I'm concerned. Team. I've never it was a hell of a PR thing, but this is a very, very big misstep as far as I'm concerned, Mark. And I don't have much respect for the Cowboys organization. They're waiting for Tony Romo to come back to be the savior. He hasn't been that yet. I don't know what makes them think coming off an injury he's going to be better, but they're in a deep hole, and I hope they miss the playoffs. And I don't wish them, I don't wish them injury or anything like that. I just don't. I hope that they. I do hope that they don't have any success until they get their heads out of their asses. There's some things that they're not as they seem to be, kind of like what you said, Mark. But this has really crossed the line. Ronda Rousey has found her way into this controversy by not just being 100% what the politically correct people think she should be about domestic violence. And I will say this: there are certainly instances, Mark, that I know of personally that I've seen. It is a two-way street. A female will do something towards a male, and your response when something physical happens to you is a physical response. It's rarely verbal. It's a strong man that can stand there and get humiliated or slapped or something thrown in his face or hit with something, that he only responds verbally or turns around and walks away. I mean, that's what the Bible says, but very few people follow that. And for Ronda Rousey's sake, she's honest. She's honest to a fault, and she's coming up to this fight in Australia, which is good for the UFC, huge for the sport of mixed martial arts, and she's having to talk about something. As a damn football player half a continent away, and Ronda Rousey's a physical person. She makes her living in a male-dominated male. Women were an afterthought, right. Mark. And I'm not sure if you were there the day at Mandalay Bay when I spoke to Reed Harris of the WEC, which had the lighter weights for mixed martial arts guys, and certainly the women. And UFC did not want them in. Had no real desire or need to incorporate the women in the lighter weights, and yet they just took over the WEC. But I had Reed Harris on the air at Mandalay Bay and on the airwaves with the MMA Junkie. He just damn near went apoplectic when I asked him about women under Rousey at the Tough Enough event. Tough Enough that now being run very wonderfully by, and Ronda fought 3 times, and she's, if you could get past the good looks and the nice boobs, you would think Ronda fights just like a guy. They say some guys throw like girls. Well, Ronda fights like a guy, and she's got this tremendous judo background, and she does physical things. So I think she probably has a different perspective on these altercations and these kinds of things. And I don't think she's way off center in what she said. I think there's a lot of truth to her stance on marijuana. She doesn't use it, but she doesn't. And honest to God, you're in a fight. I don't know why guys keep getting suspended for being on weed when they're in a fight. The best thing I can have for if I'm going to be in a fist fight with somebody is they're stoned. Dude, don't hit me no more. Let's go. Look, Jack in the Box is right there. Okay, dude, let's go.
Dave,
I got coupons. All right, let's go. Yeah, and so that's pretty much the reality. Dave's not here. That's pretty much the reality of the situation. Rhonda is a spokesperson, and she doesn't mince a lot of words. She doesn't need to. She's Ronda Rousey, and she's got the world by the balls right now, and rightfully so. But anyway, she's been kind of drug into this. She's fighting Beth Holm down in Australia at UFC 4,393 or whatever the hell it is. They're getting up to their numbers. Man, I went to number 48. I saw Chuck Liddell at number 48, Tito Ortiz in that fight. So they've had a lot of UFC big time named events since then. But Rhonda's down there and representing. She represents America. She represents womanhood. She represents a lot of good. Won a bronze medal in the Olympics. Wouldn't you like to see the two bitches that beat her? Wouldn't you like to just see? Wow, if Rhonda's bad and she took third, what must them other two be? And I did not mean that as a derogatory thing. It is one of those things, Mark, and but anyway, all things considered, more of just humanity, civilization than the police blotter. But Greg Hardy is such a scumbag, and he plays with this attitude, and you're like, dude, I mean, if they just rounded them all up and made one team, it wouldn't win. They could put Damakong Su on there and Greg Hardy, and now the guy that's actually got a suspension and took it like a man and I don't think he did anything on purpose, Mark. He did put his hands on the face mask, is Aqib Talib from the Denver Broncos, who kind of breaking up a fight or talking trash and cost the Denver Broncos a chance to win the game against the Indianapolis Colts. He took the ball out of Peyton Manning's hands by two late penalties, one for grabbing the face mask and poking the opponent. One of the Indianapolis Colts was in an altercation with one of the Broncos, and Talib came over to break it up or talk trash back or do whatever, represent, and he put his hands on, and the guy acted like he'd been gut shot by a 30-30 at about 10 paces, and Talib is going to have a one-game suspension. It's going to cost him close to $500,000 because he put his hands in the face mask, and one of his hands might have grazed the guy's eye. Mo from the Three Stooges couldn't get his fingers through a lineman's face mask far enough in to do much damage to an eye. Eyes are important and all that, and it shouldn't be, shouldn't happen. But Aqib Talib took it the right way. He fessed up. I did it. I was wrong. I shouldn't have been in that situation, and on and on and on. So, former New England Patriot Aqib Talib, now with the Broncos, is taking it like a man, and I very much applaud him. He did wrong, but he stood up and confronted everything that came his way. He answered the questions and did all that. One of those next question, did you beat your girlfriend? Next question. Yeah. Did she bruise you? Was it next question. So he's a scumbag, and the sooner he's done, his career is over, the better off the league will be, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I guess that brings not necessarily the police blotter, but those kind of sports those kind of things, stories that affect sports and not on the field, Mark. Are you a big University of Missouri fan?
Nope.
Okay, not a lot of people are. They're becoming more popular. They joined the SEC, Southeastern Conference, and they since then have won two titles for their. I think they're in the North or whatever the hell it is, and Missouri was in the Big 12 for a long time with Colorado, and they've had they're not very far from Ferguson, Missouri. Missouri seems to have a big connection with the racism that's prevalent. Every time something happens, it seems to have something Missouri, blah 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 blah, Missouri. So the University of Missouri not immune to these kind of things, and So there were some incidents on campus that were not dealt with to the satisfaction of a lot of people, not just one or two people. And a young man named Jonathan Butler took the Hunger Games to a whole new level. He started a hunger strike, and he was almost a week in, and it was for the resignation of the president, and for his lack of caring about these incidents that had happened under his watch, and he did nothing about it. He did nothing tangible, nothing acceptable to alleviate these racial incidents. And this young man, Jonathan Butler, went on a hunger strike for almost a week. You know, my hunger strikes tend to last somewhere between 10 in the morning and maybe 2 in the afternoon if I really, really stretch it out. That's as far as I go without eating unless I'm sleeping. On the other hand, this young man went almost a week without eating and galvanized the effort to remove the president or have him step down, or either step down, jump or I'm going to push you. And the turning point in this whole thing seemed to be Gary Pinkel, the coach of Missouri, football coach at Missouri, joined with them and put out a statement. I believe it was a tweet that we stand united. And he joined his team. Now, first of all, the football team and most sports teams, at least football, basketball, the revenue-producing teams, are made up of a much bigger majority or a much bigger percentage of people of color than our general population. For whatever reasons, that seems to be the way it is. And there's several theories on that, Mark, but this is a man who, now the question is, was he just being pragmatic and joining this, or does he really believe this? I will say this is the man, if you remember the name Michael Sam, is the first openly gay young man to come out and say, I'm gay and I still play football and I'm pretty good at it. And Gary Pinkel supported him when he was a senior. I think he came out in between his junior and senior seasons, so he had an entire season of playing with that, hanging over him and being an issue, and his coach was very supportive. And so now that the same coach has chosen to support the right thing, we applaud them. And again, between Paul Leckie and Gary Pinkel, I think you got two pretty good examples of what you're supposed to be. With Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, I think you have the before and after example, the good and bad, whatever, yin and yang, whatever you want to call it. So you've got some somewhat unrelated, it all is about, okay, there's less important things than what our day-to-day living, and football is one of them, and sports is one of them. There's from the reality, and now they're the reality. They are itself, that's the real deal. So I applaud University of Missouri forward. I don't think it's a done deal. It wasn't just the firing of the guy is going to change all the things that have happened. Somebody supposedly put a swastika in feces, and now the backlash is, well, there was no pictures of it. Well, they were smart enough to take a policeman in and have him see it. So things are still going on in Missouri that we would wish would never occur anywhere else. But is there a lot of Mark? I know a lot of guys. If you look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, when he was drafted, he played with Milwaukee and led them to a championship. Him and the Big O, Oscar Robertson. He was unhappy and ended up being a Los Angeles Laker because of the cultural problems, or the cultural lack of anything for him and what he needed for his life, culturally speaking, and he left Milwaukee. Is there the same Minnesota, Mark? I don't think it's overly I think percentage wise it's probably on the low end of the scale as far as black residents.
No, Minnesota is California East wannabe. Okay.
Oh my God.
We're home of Hubert Humphrey. Hug the tree, love your neighbor. Oh, everything's just fine. Let's all just shake hands and that's why that's one of the reasons that I live here, not there anymore, because it's like, okay, again, before the police do anything, they have to go through this long list going, okay, is is this person black? Yes. Okay. Does he belong to a certain organization? No. Okay.
Some type of profiling or anti-profiling.
Yeah. You know, so it's this whole let's profile to prove that we're not profiling. Okay. And
pretty much.
Okay, but,
yep, I got you.
But, you know, my problem with this, I got two huge problems with this whole thing. Is first of all, Jonathan Butler is sorry to get political. He's like Obama.
No, it's all right. You're allowed.
Okay. I am a victim. I am a victim. You have parents that are multimillionaires, and you're a victim of race. You have lived a privileged life, and you know, to claim victimhood doesn't wash with me. As far as the coach goes, the coach saw a PR, you know, both in Michael Sam and this. He's like, okay, I got to be on the right side of this, so you know, I got to come out and parade in front of the social media so that everyone approves of me. I have a problem with that.
I think that's one of the theories, Mark, and I agree with you. That certainly is a possibility. And who could blame a guy who's making millions and millions of dollars a year on the backs of student athletes, or athletic students? I think is probably the much better description of them than student athletes. They don't have time to be full-fledged students because they have a full-time job, and it's called football or basketball or whatever it is that generates the money for others than them. But you're right. This guy, I mean, he has to walking. If my job is dependent on youngsters that come in as 18-year-old, green behind the ear, wet behind the ears, you know, and I have to turn them into not only men but football playing men too, and keep track of kids and all that. It's a daunting task at best, Mark. And the guy has to make decisions that for the best of all. Well, sometimes he has to make decisions that are for the best of his family and his mortgage payment and his new car every year, those kind of things. I personally don't that factored in, but it certainly might be the fact. And I don't know that we'll ever know what Gary was thinking, but he did. He obviously, I think a whole lot of people believe that he did the right thing by joining with his players and showing solidarity and saying, okay, this is wrong, and and the players threatened to boycott the game this weekend. They were not going to do anything football related until the president was gone. They didn't have to name a committee and wait for a while. That game this weekend is going to generate millions and millions of dollars for their coffers, and if they hadn't played, it'd cost them millions and millions of dollars in legal fees and all those kinds of things, and it would have had repercussions way more significant than finding a new president for the University of Missouri. And whatever the guy did, obviously he had some qualifications coming in. I say this: the chancellor, R. Bowen Lofton, also lost his job, and I don't think. I don't know what the deal was to run him out too. If he was a big supporter of the president or come in on his dime or whatever happened, but whatever it was, you can't trust somebody who starts their name. I've always had that as especially with an initial. What are you, ashamed of your first name? Arston? How's the R stand for? Rambunctious, racist. What is it, dude? Pick one or just say the whole damn name. So R. Bowen Lofton was the chancellor at University of Missouri. What do you think is
when we go down this whole, what is your initial? I always come back and hang on a second. You don't need to talk to me. I always come back to that MASH episode where they're trying to find out what BJ Honeycutt's initials stand for.
Oh yeah,
the
conjecture
they're digging
there.
through his records. Well, his B, mom, J, dad, BJ. It's like, but yeah, it's like, why an initial? I am R. Mark Anthony.
There is a story, whether I suppose I'll have to check on Snopes, that a young man joined the Army during or about World War II, and he had been named after a relative who did not like his name and only went by his initials, and the guy was known as RB, and so they named the kid R.B. Jones. And so when they asked him his name, he said, "What's your name?" R.B. Jones. "No, what's your full name?" R.B. Jones. So the guy in doing the form had to put R, and then in parentheses put only, B, only Jones. So the kid went through the Army known as Ronely Bonely Jones. That's what it said on his. So there are problems. People with naming your kids. When we were doing the football league, the Nevada Youth Football League, out here, we had cheerleaders, and I decided here I am, the commissioner, and I'm going to go help them out and sign up the people and get these things done. And there was only one person working with the cheerleaders. We had 4 or 5 people working with the players. So I just kind of went where the log jam was. And lady came up, and you have to write down the names or try to read the hieroglyphics that someone else is writing. So it was simple for me just to write down. So we had several daunting things come up where people spelled names in a creative way. And this lady came up and she was like, "Yeah, what's her name? Janice Jones." And I said, "How do you spell that?" She said, 2 X's, a Q, and a Y. And I'm like, "What? What did you do? Just take all the things from a Scrabble and throw them out there and say, okay, there it is. What's it spelled?" Well, her name's Janice, but that's how you spell it, So, it was really kind of, it wasn't a racial thing, but I will say this about the names. Yeah, that is, I said, okay, you're gonna have to spell it out for me because I don't know where to put the Q and and whatever it was. So, these things happen. By the way, speaking of things that happen, Mark, Tour de France went through their throes. Certainly, Major League Sports, baseball in particular, has gone through a great deal of agony because of performance-enhancing drugs. It's a rare sport that it has not affected, and Russia and the Olympics. And there was talk of banning Russia from the 2016 Olympics in the fetid waters of Rio de Janeiro, and they're going to let the Russians play, but they're going to have to admit some guilt. They're going to have to go the Pete Rose route and show some contrition and those kind of things to be allowed in, and they're going to do that, and they're probably going to end up giving some Olympic medals back. And this is not a new phenomenon. One of our greatest athletes, if not the greatest male athlete that the United States has ever produced, Jim Thorpe, had to give back his Olympic medals, I believe, from the 1912 Olympics, and they introduced him to the king of Sweden, I believe. I think it was Gustav, and after the Olympics, and Thorpe stuck out his hand and said, "Hi, King," and this big uproar about that. Well, okay, but he had to, because he'd played a small amount of pro baseball at the time, semi-pro baseball, and took money. It eliminated Jim Thorpe and they took all his medals back, and a lot of people think that led to his death. He died an alcoholic, a penniless alcoholic, in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, on an Indian reservation, and he had to give his Olympic medals back, and I'm sure that affected him very, very bad.
Okay,
Russia is going to probably give back a great deal of Olympic medals. You can't give the ta-das back. They heard it. They got to hear their anthem played in front of the crowd.
But through all of this, I just imagined the players on the Olympic teams going, "We don't have to swim in that polluted water. We don't have. Oh God, we got kicked out. Yes, thank you." And then it's like, wait, we're going back, really? Did you see the water we have to swim in? That's actually a blessing.
You ever heard the old joke about the guy says, I read somewhere that smoking and drinking are bad for you, so I gave it up. And the guy says, "Yeah, smoking and drinking?" He said, "No, reading." And that's pretty much what the people in Rio have done. The Olympic organizing committee down there, they're not going to test the water anymore. They already know the results of what it is. There's crap in the water, and we're going to have the triathletes out there swimming in it, and the people on the catamarans and the yachts and all that crap floating in it, and not much we can do about it. So we're tired of hearing about it, so we're just not going to test it anymore. So they won't let the IOC, the Olympic Committee, and those kind of things that are really responsible, they will not allow them to test the waters officially around Rio. So it's going to be interesting as we get closer, and it's going to be that news is going to be mixed in with the election cycle here in America, and I think it's probably going to take some of the heat off of them. But I mean, it's a pretty big issue. You want me to swim in what?
Yeah.
And dodge the what? Yeah, just dodge the big turds. Because the little ones won't slow you down. Yeah. So
keep your mouth closed.
Yeah, that's right. Jellyfish is the least of your worries. Couple other things, Mark. I know we're rolling right along. A very sad report. Former Major League pitcher Tommy Hanson, who was a very young man, died, and now the reports are that it was from an overdose. He'd pitched for the Atlanta Braves. He was their #1 prospect, I believe, in 2011. Pitched for the Braves, also pitched for the Angels, and is now dead. And they called the police to respond, or called the paramedics to respond. He was not breathing, found at a friend's house, unconscious and not breathing and dead for all intents and purposes, and he has passed away, and our thoughts and prayers to his family. And certainly it touches home with me, Mark, these overdose deaths, and I don't know that there's a simple solution. It's no different than gun control and those other things. There's no just here's the solution to all of it, other than complete eradication of drugs for anything, and that certainly doesn't seem feasible and whatever. But I mean, a young man who had such a promising career, and when you're the #1 prospect in all of baseball for one of 32 teams, you're pretty far up the food chain. And Tommy Hanson paid with his life for, and I guess fuels a lot of guys that make it to the level of Major League Baseball or the NFL. Football or whatever. They all share that competitiveness, Mark, and I think sometimes that deals into these situations where guys overdose. I can do more than you can do. It's always who can do more. What can I withstand? And Tommy Hanson is gone from Earth. Never to return in our lifetime, at least according to reports. But a sad thing. These guys, whether it's from injuries that they start with meds so they can still perform, or whatever it is, whatever the cause is, the result is devastating. And again, I wish I could hug his mom and dad and his and tell them I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I think I have a pretty good idea, and it ain't good. It ain't fun. You beat yourself up with those questions. What could I have done differently? What could I have gotten him different treatment? Could I have not signed the form to let him play ball? That's I mean, you have a lot of questions running through your mind when you're after the fact and looking back at these things, Mark. So anyhow, speaking of after the fact, ready for a little levity?
Good.
Provided by Oscar De La Hoya.
Oh yes,
our Olympic gold medal winner and former, I believe, 5 different weight division world champion, Oscar De La Hoya, who has called out Floyd Mayweather and said Mayweather took the easy way out. Well, okay, that may be true, and you might have a point there, and you're welcome to your opinion. I think Floyd pretty much fought damn near everybody that was anybody, not necessarily when they were at the peak of their career. I think he avoided Manny Pacquiao until he was much more beatable than he was a few years ago. But all things considered, after seeing the fight, I think Floyd still was going to beat Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao had a chance, but not a good chance. De La Hoya calling out Mayweather is somewhat like the little kid who kills his parents and then wants mercy because he's an orphan. Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Productions, with Bernard Hopkins and the other group, were the promoters for Floyd Mayweather Jr. in the height of his career, when he'd left Top Rank Boxing and Bob Arum and was on his own, and Oscar De La Hoya, who had done the same thing, left Arum when the opportunity arose, started Golden Boy Promotions, and they were doing the fights. Well, it's tough to say, hey, you didn't fight everybody. Well, you didn't put him on the schedule. You had his rights. You had a contract with him. You're going to fight who's out there, or you're going to break your contract. And it's not like Oscar didn't have any leverage or whatever with Floyd, but now has called him out for sidestepping some of the big names to just get his record of 14-0.
Okay, but we've talked about this before. There is no talent left in the boxing pool. You know, you don't have.
It certainly has been watered down, Mark. I'll give you that.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, they weren't tough opponents. Well, give me something. Let's put some tough opponents in the pipeline. But there's nobody in that pipeline right now, and that's
they're in the MMA pipeline right now, Mark.
Yes. Yeah.
They're going to the sport that has emerged. It's the new thing, and I think it is a better indicator. Boxing is somewhat archaic, and I love boxing, and they call it the sweet science. And if you watch boxing, simply not rooting for one person or another, to watch the ballet that it becomes in front of you. You see a guy setting up and taking another step closer and another step closer. It's very much like watching a bullfight. Yeah, unfortunately, the bull dies, and it's grotesque and it's gruesome, but there is beauty to it. You can't take the beauty away.
No.
But you can say it's kind of a tough, high price to pay for this beauty. That's how boxing is. MMA is much more that immediate. Okay, we're having a brawl and somebody's going to get knocked. Okay, that's what boxing is, the sweet science. And to watch a guy like Floyd Mayweather perform, and he does it about as well. He's Nadia Comaneci getting the 10. That's what Floyd does in boxing. It's not fun to watch unless you're a huge fan of the art of the skills there, as opposed to a fan of like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was great to watch for me because of his head movement. That's what made Mike Tyson so much different than most heavyweights. Most heavyweights walk in with their chin out and say, okay, I'm going to hit you hard and you hit me hard. We'll see who falls first. And George Foreman and Ron Lyle had a tremendous fight, and I believe it was in Toronto. There were 5 knockdowns in the fight. There was no boxing whatsoever. The fact that they were in a boxing ring and wearing boxing gloves, and there was a judge, and 3 judges and a referee, was as close as it was to boxing. It was a brawl. It was, I'm going to hit you, you're going to hit me, and one of us is going to fall down and not get back up. And it was Ron Lyle that was the one that finally suffered the final knockdown and didn't get back up, but there was no boxing to it whatsoever. It was a very, very popular bout. Mike Tyson was a very, very popular fighter because he ended those things. It was that suddenness. Mayweather doesn't do that. That's not his style. That's not what got him to 49-0. Yet here we are, Oscar, who, it's not like Oscar went out of his way to fight people at the prime of their, he was fighting Macho Camacho and Shane Mosley and blah, 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 well past their prime, when Oscar was still in his. Oscar didn't duck a lot of people, and a lot of more people ducked Oscar, I think, than Oscar ducked. But he certainly could have had fights with bigger name opponents or more serious challengers, and did not do so. And for him to call out Floyd Mayweather Jr., I think is very hypocritical of Oscar, particularly as he was the damn promoter. I mean, who else do you blame? Who else's fault is it? Is Floyd supposed to go out and call people out? You want him making phone calls on his cell phone? Hey, man, I think I can whip your ass. That's not how that works. It's business. And so whoever was doing the matchmaking and whoever was responsible, I think Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy are at least equally as responsible as Floyd is for who he fought or did not fight. And he's got the record. He tied Rocky Marciano's record. They're talking about another fight, and I think it's hot air, Mark. I don't believe Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going to fight again. He doesn't need to. Why take the chance? 49-0 and tied Rocky Marciano and doing the sporting thing, and that's all cool, man. That's Floyd. He's a very eccentric young man. He has more money than he can count. He has more money than he can spend. You got photos of him carrying in the stacks of. He had $10,000 in $1 bills to take into a strip club. Oh, okay. Well, Mark, we've been there. That's a big night for the girls, and they get 10 grand. It's not that wasn't money he was taking into the private room to get lap dances from his favorite stripper. That was for all of them. That was throw the money and let it rain and make the deal. But he was giving back 10 grand to strippers who are out there showing their boobs for $1, and the guy cops a feel as he's sticking the dollar in the G-string. So it's Floyd's a different cat, but. I don't think this is on Floyd for whatever Oscar's saying. I think much less of it is on Floyd You know, first of all, he knows that he can embarrass damn near anybody in a boxing ring when they're just out in the parking lot. I think Floyd's probably prone to getting his ass kicked. Ronda Rousey snags hold of him. Okay, then it's that ain't going to happen. No, Floyd.
Okay, and that's a good fight.
I don't subscribe to that either. Any male that has, particularly that's already an athlete, is a huge, overwhelming favorite over the greatest female athlete, particularly in combat sports. Babe Didrikson Zaharias was, I believe, the greatest female athlete America or the world has ever seen. Little sidelight on Babe. She was training for the Olympics, and she was going to a small college in Iowa, and I don't remember the name of the college. But in practicing for the Olympics, she was entered in several events already in the Olympics, and just trying to keep herself sharp and whatever. And there was a track meet, a dual track meet, and they called and said, "Listen, can you accommodate Babe? She's training for the Olympics and she needs that competition." And so they made it a triangular track meet, meaning there are three institutions that are all vying for this overall championship. The other way, one wins, one loses, whoever outpoints the other one. So now it's three-way. Babe Didrikson was the only entrant from her college, and she won. Her college won the track meet, and she was their only participant. She won the javelin. She won the mile. She won the 220 hurdles. She won the 100-meter dash, and I believe it was the shot put, Mark. And if you think of how divergent those things are athletically, I mean, there's some that have nothing to do with the other one. You know, you're the 100-meter dash champion, and you're also throwing the shot put. Okay, that's very rare that you have that combination of athletic skill. When Babe Didrikson had moved on and had been in the Olympics and come back and was trying to make a buck, and there wasn't world tennis wasn't available to her or whatever, she beat the defending men's golf champion at golf from the men's. She then went, not in the same day or anything like that, but within, I believe, a year or so, and knocked off the top bowlers. You talk about two very different sports, bowling and golf, and to be able to whip the boys, that's cool. Fist fight is different. And they're talking about Ronda and could she do this or could she do that? No. The answer is a simple no. Ronda's dominating women because of the technique that she uses. She's not overpowering them athletically, and her hands. That to me remains the deal. The hands. Women just can't transfer the force from their punches to an opponent with near the rate that a man can, simply because of the physiology of their hands. Women's hands are much more prone to break than to do a significant amount of damage when hitting the head. Floyd has a lot of hand injuries. He's always breaking his hands up, so it doesn't pay him to hit hard. It pays him to hit often, and he doesn't have to hit hard to win. So that's where it is there, Mark. But what do you think about somebody that calls somebody out when you're it's like when guys get divorced? Oh, she was ugly. Well, why did you marry her then? Did you not see that before you started this I do stuff?
Yeah. I always like that when they do it. It's like, dude, you were with her. Did you just wake up one day and go, oh? Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I had a buddy who come over to the house and he met this babe and he was bragging about her and she's married, dude, but her old man's an asshole or whatever. And sure enough, they started going out, and sure enough, he caught her cheating on him. And I had to have that. What were you? She cheated on somebody to be with you. What made you think she wasn't going to cheat on you to be with the next somebody? You didn't get the memo about that. So, yeah, I think that's kind of where we are, Mark. Again, thank God the police blotter short. J.T. Barrett, the quarterback for Ohio State, now the dash cam video has come out of his arrest for drunken driving. He served his 1-game suspension, and he'll be back at quarterback for Ohio State. And he simply asked the cops, is there any way to avoid this or anything like that? I mean, from what I see, it wasn't like he was offering a bribe. Hey, I'll get you in, and you can play tight end on Saturday if you'll let me go from this DUI. And Urban Meyer might have been open to that. I'm not sure, but he didn't go for it and arrested him. And, that's kind of a tough deal on the cops, too. You're arresting the star quarterback in a college town.
Yeah.
You better have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, because you know you're going to piss off somebody. Who doesn't care if the guy was drunk? He plays quarterback for Ohio State University. What the hell are you doing arresting him? You couldn't just give him a ride home? No, they used to do that. They drunk quarterbacks.
God,
and for the people that are looking down their noses at JT Barrett like he's done something, well, he's only 20 years old. He shouldn't have been drinking. You know what? That's what college is. People go there and they get laid and they drink and they party, and hopefully they're getting an education in the meantime. And these guys are raising millions and millions of dollars for the state of Ohio, and particularly Ohio State University. So everybody's, oh, what a terrible human he is. No, not really. He's a college kid. He's a 20-year-old college kid who had a chance to have a few drinks, and he was not at his home when it happened, so he was driving home. He wasn't going out looking for more or whatever, and wasn't involved in an accident, thank God. And nobody was injured, and except his reputation or whatever. And I would imagine at some point in time it will cost JT Barrett some money when he goes to the pros. Somebody's going to say, well, yeah, we're going to give you $5 million, $4,990,000 because you got a DUI. So, it's
I mean, it's like I say, half of the shit I did back in high school and college, thank God the internet wasn't invented. Well, it was invented according to Gore, but anyway, half the shit I did, God, I would be in prison. I would have been in juvenile hall for the majority of my teenage years, and I'd be in jail right now. I just, I feel sorry for these kids because they cannot experience life.
Yeah. They live life in a fishbowl, Mark.
Yeah. And yes, you are the star quarterback, and yes, you are going to have to do things that are not right, and you think you're shielded part of the time, but not all of the time. And somebody somewhere, again, we go back to this thing that these women marry. Yeah. So okay, the cheerleader just lost out on her scholarship, so she's going to go do something with the star quarterback, and that's going to get her 15 minutes of fame. And he's, God, I feel sorry for anyone that's under 50 years of age. But God, to be a rising sports star, my God.
What did I do to you?
Pardon?
I said, what did I do? I don't get some respect here or something. Some empathy.
Yeah, these kids just do not get to enjoy growing up because they live in that fishbowl. And okay, you play in Ohio, somebody in Florida is going to go, I saw this on the internet and I don't like it, and he needs to be arrested. It's like, really? Come on.
Oh, everybody ratting each other out. The kids that you look at Louisville and Rick Pitino. I like Ricky Pitino. I think he's a hell of a coach. He went to the Knicks. I don't think that was a great idea. He's back in college now at Louisville. He'd been at Kentucky and now at Louisville, two of the most hated rivals of one another, located in the same state. He's coached for both very successfully, won national championships. But this recruiting scandal, it's good when you try. Okay, I got the guy laid. We had strippers in. They had a great time, and he signed on the dotted line, and now he's going to make money for us. Great. Good job, Ricky. The kid that decided, hey, Louisville was great, but the babe was, I've seen better boobs, and I don't really like brunettes. I much prefer blondes. And the University of somewhere is going to get me laid by my woman of choice. It's not like Louisville was the only ones doing it. But when the kid didn't sign and he went somewhere else and had the opportunity to rat out Louisville, he did so. And it's that tap dancing in a minefield thing. Okay, it's all good when it works, but man, when it blows up, it's going to blow right up in your face because you didn't get everybody. If you could keep everybody in the fold, it would be good. You could do it till the cows come home, but it doesn't work every time. When a kid recruited somewhere else, Texas and Oklahoma recruit the same group. Florida and Florida State recruit the same group. In Miami, Ohio State and Michigan recruit the same. So when you lose out on one, he lets the other people know what the secrets were, what you did, to try to recruit him, and that's how this escalates, Mark. So it's unfortunate. And like I say, I don't think Patino invented it. I don't think Lance Armstrong performance enhancing drugs, nor did Mark McGuire or Sammy Sosa or Roger Clemens, and on and on and on. But it's a response. It's just as we went back to, if somebody does something physical to you, your response is generally physical back. If somebody does something recruiting wise and it puts you at a disadvantage, your response is to do the same thing back. And I think it's human nature. Go ahead, man.
Okay. Let's kind of wrap this up on one final topic, okay?
Which one? Pick one. Should we throw a dart?
Nope.
Okay.
DraftKings, FanDuel, the ban in New York. What is going on with this? Oh, okay. I'm gonna make
it base and simple.
Here's
whenever you're done. I got it.
Okay. Here's my problem with this.
Okay.
Which is kind of shocking. The NFL is not involved in this, but every other major sports league has team owners who have a stake in either one of these two companies. Isn't that there's just something wrong with a sports team having part ownership in a betting company that makes money off of that team?
What it opens itself up to, you come back to Pete Rose. Pete Rose did not violate the letter of he violated the letter of the law, but not the intent of the law. The intent of what Pete Rose did, or the rule with baseball, was bet on baseball in general. And oh my God, it was even worse. He bet on the Reds. Well, he didn't bet against the Reds, and he didn't bet. He was betting only because of the competition thing.
Okay? Right.
Now you're talking about manipulating a game to win. And for Mark, if you the difference between being here on Super Bowl weekend and the game week 8 of the NFL season is the availability of different things to wager on. When the Super Bowl comes around, you have that 2-week lag between the championship games and the Super Bowl, and so they come up with what are known as prop bets. So you can bet who's going to have the most yardage. Say it's Adrian Peterson, the Vikings make it. Who's going to have more yardage, Adrian Peterson or Tom Brady? Who's going to count for more? Who's going to have more, this and that, which is what's coin toss and all those kinds of things. Most of them are not, they're stupid bets. It's a coin toss type of thing. But it is wagering nonetheless. With FanDuel, with the all the sites like that, with this fantasy sports, they are simply prop bets. That's all they are. Where the race and sports books don't offer them now, it is an exotic thing, but it is a prop bet, and it is very easy to manipulate. It lends itself to such jeopardy for somebody doing one thing and somebody scoring nothing. Money guy, that schmuck that says I put in $200 and now I got $2 million, and yeah, okay, you didn't do that by luck. You didn't do that by skill. You did that because of some manipulation. Somebody let him know what combinations were not bet on, were not wagered on, and he covered those and scored. It was not like, well, I think the guy, the second string running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think the first string guy is going to go down in the first quarter, and this second string guy is going to have an amazing game and go get over 100 yards of action, and I'm going to be the only schmuck in America who's got him on my card. And that's exactly what happened, Mark. And it is wagering. And they just want their piece of the pie. I think it should be ended. Because it is going to be a problem that's not going to go away. There's so much, kids in Canyon City, Colorado were able to hide pictures of their genitals from their parents by having a phone that looked like a calculator until you hit and then it opened up to pictures of the junior prom queen's boobs. So people can hide and people have ways of manipulating and going about things that are unknown until way after the fact, if in fact somebody has the time. I mean, you talk about behind the 8 ball. You look at law enforcement and all the data that's available that's being passed around. Who deciphers that? Who investigates which thing? You know, pedophiles. One of the greatest things that's ever happened to pedophiles was Al Gore and the internet. They don't have to. They don't have to go to an adult shop and talk to the guy behind the counter and say, "Hey, can you find me find me an 11-year-old young man I'd like to have sex with?" And here's $50 and find him and blah blah blah. Now it's on the internet. Jared Fogle did his thing because of the availability of the information, and so that's what I think has changed, Mark. And this betting thing with these sports is not good for. You're an idiot. You're a frickin' moron if you do these things thinking you're getting a fair shake. You might come out on top. You might have enough skills to outlast some of them or outgain some of them. But you're a moron if you think you're getting the real odds. If you think you had, because these people are able to take at one and use it to screw the people that are playing on the other one. So you can really burn a competitor and their fan base. So there's no real incentive to stop it. You can't bet if you work for Fantasy Duel, you can't, or FanDuel, you can't bet here. Okay, that's good, but you can go right across the street and bet at the other one. What's the difference? You've just made one better than the other, and I think it's as a former bookie, I'm telling you right now, it's bad. There's no way of regulating it. There's no way of telling who's manipulating what and what information is available. I mean, dear God. They can hack into everything. There's nothing that is secure on the internet. If you cannot do it. It's that information, once it's out there, is out there for. I will be dead and dust and gone in 1,000,000 years from now, and that stuff will still be flying around out in space for somebody to find and decipher off of a cloud or whatever.
Right.
Reports are. It is simply another way of gambling. And Nevada wants their share. We've legalized it. We're not hypocritical about it, and I'm all for them. I don't think there's a simple way of regulating it, Mark. But it is you talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room. All sports, everybody, basketball, football, those that lend themselves to gambling. I'm telling you right now, I don't know how they'll ever get it under control, Mark. But it's a bad sign as far as I'm concerned.
All right, let's wrap it up.
All right. Now we've had all the fun we're going to have. Anyway, I would like to wrap this up and say I would like to dedicate this show to Paul Leckie. What a tremendous man. What a fine example of how you're supposed to do things right. And we will miss him, and the Walmart family will miss him. And Walmart, I've got to throw this in, Mark. I offered to watch the door for one of the greeters so they could go to his funeral. And Walmart, who, like I say, tends to get the short end of the stick when it comes to a claim, and they don't do everything perfect. But their district manager had come down, and he was taking somebody from every other store in the Las Vegas area to man this Walmart, so every last employee could go to this guy's funeral.
Wow!
So we applaud them, and that's what we're talking about, folks. That's how you do it right. So, and we try to do it right here on Good Sports. We're not always all that successful, but we give it a go, and we do appreciate you watching us. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. What else we got, Mark?
I think that's about it for now. That's enough.
We're trying to set up an Instagram thing. Yeah. I don't have to do. All I have to do is talk. You're the one that has to do the real work. So, well, for all of us here at Good Sports, thank you being with us, and we look forward to you being with us on a regular basis. GoodSportsMedia.com, and you'll know when we're doing the show. Sometimes we vary. Generally, we try to do it on Thursdays, but sometimes things pop up. So as they do, and as things occur here in Las Vegas, we cover them right here on Good Sports. And for all of us here, thank you. Have a good week. For Mark Anthony, I'm Rick Rosen, and keep watching Good Sports right here on GoodSportsMedia.com. Bye-bye.
Bye.